Hello, you weirdos. Jim here, and happy summerween to you all. This week, DC kicked off their spooky summertime event, Night Terrors with a K. And I don't know if you noticed, but they put both Night Terrors First Blood and the Batman tie-in issue on their Infinite app day and date. And that made me wonder, is DC Comics that desperate, or are they that smart? After thinking about it, my answer may surprise you.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
So, was putting the big first issue of Night Terrors as well as the Batman tie-in issue on the Infinite app on Tuesday, day and date when the physical book was released, is it a desperate move or is it a smart one? And my answer is yes. Leading up to this Night Terrors event, there wasn't a lot of positive buzz, though it might be because all the kids down at the local pizza parlor were more excited about Summerween in general. But most of the people I talked about said they were going to skip this event entirely, though some like me said they were going to check out the main book, hoping for the best, maybe expecting the worst. But just last week, I talked to two DC comic writers, one who has a book in this event, and a DC Comics editor who said that DC Comics is definitely worried about the low orders and the low hype for Night Terrors. They also verified that most of the people involved with the Dawn of DC books were really, really worried that Night Terrors had brought the Dawn of DC momentum to a screeching halt, and were very concerned that Night Terrors would be a jumping off point for readers more than a jumping on point. So I think it is fair to say DC Comics might be a bit desperate right now. And while they certainly put themselves in that situation, being desperate doesn't have to be a fully negative thing. Great things can and have happened because people and companies were desperate. And DC being desperate means they realize there is a problem. And that's way better than what their usual MO is, which is burying their heads in the sand at best and blaming the customer at worst. But being desperate isn't enough. It's what you do with that desperation. And what DC Comics did was release Night Terrors First Blood, the big kickoff issue for the event, on the DC Infinite app on Tuesday, the day that the books hit the comic stores, and it's there for everyone who has a subscription to the app to read. They went even further and put the first issue of the Batman tie-in issue on the Ultra subscription level of the app as well. Now, my first thought seeing this was, oh my God, they are desperate. But over the last few days, I talked to a bunch of people, and I think I've changed my mind a bit. You see, a lot of the people I talked to weren't going to read Night Terrors at all. But since the first issue was on the app, they gave it a shot, and so many of them said the exact same thing. It was better than I thought it would be. So many people told me it was better than I thought it would be. And I don't think DC is going to put that on the back of the Night Terrors trade. But I'm sure a couple of those people are going to at least check out the next issue of the main Night Terrors book now. And they are also creating a more positive vibe around the event. And I think a lot of that comes from DC doing something very unexpected and pretty cool. And I know they randomly put up new issues on the app every Tuesday. You know, I'm talking day and date issues, but not the big event book like this. This really did surprise me a lot. Plus, there's DC dangling that carrot out there. Why not get the Ultra subscription now and also read the first issue of Night Terrors Batman? So whether they are doing this to get more subscriptions to their Infinite app, they're also creating a bit more buzz. It's a bit more positive buzz, a bit more buzz in general around this Night Terrors event. I think that is a really, really super smart idea. And personally, I am an Ultra subscriber. I love getting the new books within a month after release. And although DC Comics hates my guts, I will give a bit of an unpaid commercial here. If you are planning on reading all of Night Terrors, getting the Ultra subscription is a great way to do it, and you will save money. You'll just be reading the books a month later, but all that means is you're celebrating Summerween during the spooky months of August and September now, right? And I did some of the math. Now, please don't check the math, but it should be somewhat accurate. The Ultra subscription now in the United States, where I am, is $119 a year. And you can easily find discount codes as well to get it a little less. That's $119 compared to the $209 that Night Terrors will cost you if you want to read every issue. Now, I know that a lot of people like to have the physical copies, but you can do things the manga way here. And that's the other part of this where I think DC is being smart and they're kind of borrowing this idea from the manga side of things, which I don't know if you heard this, very, very successful. But what you could do is read the issues digitally on the app and then get the physical trades when they release, and you'll still save money overall. And maybe that is something that DC has learned from manga. Maybe this is actually a little bit of a test to see how this works out as well. Again, I think that is a very smart idea and shows that DC is finally trying to, break out of their shell and do things a slightly different way, but a way that has been proven to be successful in other things. So to end this, I do think that DC is desperate. And it still upsets me that Night Terrors with a K brought the dawn of DC momentum to a screeching halt. But what they did this week with their app was one of the few smart things they have done in quite some time. And that's right, I totally ended this with backdoor shade, but hey, I'm just being me. So with all that, tell me if you read Night Terrors, if you read it on the app, if you weren't going to read it and only read it because it was on the app, how you thought of all that, and if you plan on maybe even getting the Ultra subscription to end up reading all of it, like I said, just a month late, but also getting Batman Day and Date. And yeah, also let me know if you're interested in maybe a weekly Night Terrors recap show all through summerween, where I could kind of come on and just talk in general about all of the Night Terrors of that week, instead of full-out individual reviews. Let me know, and maybe even do it live. I don't know. Just let me know if you're interested in it, all that stuff. I'm telling you, it's like 200 degrees. I record up in this attic, and summerween, it is not cool. It may be spooky, but it's not cool. It is hot as anything up here. So I'm going to get out of here. Thanks, everybody, and I will talk to you all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.